Namaste, dear learners. I am Basavaraj Bilgi, Assistant Professor of English, GFGC Yaragatti. Today we will discuss a poem called Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okara, an African poet, novelist, who particularly belongs to the region of Nigeria. Gabriel Okara was born on April 24th, 1921 and died in the year 2019. He died very recently. He attended school in Umoya and then worked as a printer and bookseller in Lagos and Enugu. He studied journalism in the United States at Northwestern University and has been involved in the information media work ever since, notably as editor of the newspaper Nigerian Tide. He worked as an editor of the newspaper Nigerian Tide. He was a very good poet and he published a collection of poems called The Fisherman's Invocation in the year 1978. He wrote poetry in simple style. His poetry was very simple, lyrical, and polyrhythmic. He writes pre-verse disciplined by subtly controlled metrics and amplified by sharply defined images and richly ambiguous symbols. In his early poetry, he frequently combined native and non innovative imagery as a metaphoric way of communicating the confused psychological state of the westernized Africa. He was one of the first African writers to introduce into English verse uncompromisingly literal translations of metaphors, idioms, and philosophical concepts from an African vernacular language. His later poetry is his most explicitly political, reflecting his intense personal reaction to the horrors of the Nigerian Biafran conflict of 1967-70. Okara's experimental style and poetic vision places him in the forefront of the movement to indigenize African literature by investing it with local sonority as well as pan-African significance. He was also a novelist who wrote a novel called The Voice in the year 1964. When he was writing this novel, he made a lot of experiments with use of words and syntactical innovations. He is better known as the author of The Voice, a novel published in the year 1964. It was an imaginative novel written in an unorthodox prose style, simulating idiomatic expression in Aiza. The Voice, the novel, is a moral allegory about man's quest for faith, truth, and the meaning of life in a corrupted world. An idealistic hero discomfites leaders in his village by initiating a search for coherent moral values. Soon he is expelled from the village and sent into exile, but he defies the ban, returns home, and confronts those in power who had sought to obstruct his quest. He is put to death, but his words and deeds have made an impact on his people. A moral revolution has begun. Some critics were very harsh on the novelist for his radical use of verbs, verbal and syntactical innovations. The people think that use of syntactical innovations is unnatural, and they tell that he uses neologisms a lot. And some critics called his novel as dreamlike quality of the protagonist's quest. And they also had lot of objections about the form and symbol and sensitivity of language that Okara uses in his novel. Now we will discuss the poem Once Upon a Time. The poem is written in the backdrop of Nigeria's independence from Britain. The poet seems to be shocked by the change of lifestyle, values, morals, and the total change in the world view in the new independent country. He seems to be mourning for the passing away of a way of life. Though the country is politically independent, it seems to be still influenced by the British culture. The poet remembers the way people used to behave and interact with each other, how the people used to do things with their hearts and soul. The poem is written as a dramatic monologue. The poem explains what happens when a traditional African culture meets the forces of the Western way of life. In almost all the countries where British people ruled, such thing happened. Even though the British have left these countries, the impact of their culture is still there to see. And the local cultures have lost their importance due to the attraction towards modernity of the British culture. This is where the poet Gabriel Okara mourns the past and recollects. He becomes nostalgic about the past, the happy past that has gone with the arrival of the British. The poem is a satire on the fake personalities of many people. The poem tries to get them to return to a natural, innocent state. The poet expresses the falseness in modern society by using contradictions and interesting expressions such as people laugh only with their teeth, shake hands without hearts, their left hands search my empty pockets. By using expressions such as wear many paces to show that people behave differently and have different attitudes in different situations with different people instead of being one's true self. The poet brings out that people in modern society are like actors changing masks on a stage and acting in a play. There is no connection between their actions and their feelings. The poet is very much sad about the change which had been occurred to the modern society, and he compares the people to the characters in a play. He says that we are experts in changing our masks, and he says we have multiple masks in our home and we change them as the time changes. We will read the poem and get to know what happens in the poem. There are two people in the poem. One is the speaker, and another one is the son of the speaker, a passive listener. The speaker, the poet says, once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. The speaker is addressing his son, a small kid, and the poet tells, my dear son, when I was like you, when I was young like you, people used to laugh with their hearts and their eyes were full of imagination and they laugh with their hearts and eyes. But now, my dear son, they laugh only with their teeth. The poet says, when people laugh at present time, they show the teeth only to project themselves as if they are smiling, while their eyes block cold eyes search behind my shadow. When people are talking face to face, they are laughing, but they are also their eyes which are cold, which are blocked, are searching behind my shadow for gain. Nowadays, people laugh with you only for the purpose of business, but not with their heart, with their eyes. There was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. The poet says, the speaker says, there was a time indeed, my dear son, when people would stretch their hand and shake with their hearts, but that's gone, my dear son. Everything is gone. The past glory is gone. Now they shake hands without hearts. Now people, even also people shake hands now, but they do not shake with their hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. When people give their hands for shaking, their other hand is searching my pocket for financial gain. People meet you, people talk to you, people laugh with you, people shake their hands with you only when there is some gain from the action, only when they have some work with you. But people do not talk with their heart and laugh with their heart and smile with their heart. Peel at home, come again, they say. And when I come again and peel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice. For then I find doors shut on me. When you go to the homes of the people, they say, think that this home belongs to you people, stay here as if it is your own home. And they ask you to come again. But when the speaker goes to the homes of his relatives, he finds that the doors are set on his face. He went once, they treated him very well. He went for the second time, they treated him very well. But when he goes there for the third time, he finds that the doors are set on his face and there is no peel at home and come again, the speaker says. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many paces like dresses. The speaker says, I too have learnt many things, my dear son. I learnt to change my paces. I learnt to wear my paces like dresses. Home pace. We wear home pace when we are in home. Office pace. We wear a different pace. We wear a different mask when we are in office. Street pace. We wear another mask when we are walking down the street. Host pace. We wear another mask when people arrive at our home. Cocktail pace. I wear a different mask. I wear a different pace when I am with my friends, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. I too have learned to smile like those people. I too have learned to smile like the portrait in a picture which doesn't peel the smile. We can see a beautiful picture where a beautiful child is laughing. Even though the child on the picture which is hung up on the wall is smiling, the picture doesn't feel that smile. The portrait doesn't feel that smile. And the speaker says, I too have learned to laugh, learned to smile without feelings, emotions. And I have learned too to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I too have learned to laugh with my teeth only. And I too have learned to shake my hands without heart. I have also learned to say goodbye. I too have learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. People say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it has been nice talking to you after being bored. The speaker says that we say goodbye, which indirectly we mean good riddance. When we are talking with a person, we are always thinking, how can I get out from this place? How can I get off with this person? How can I get rid of this person? Because we no longer have interest in their words. And we say, glad to meet you. But in our inner self, we know that we are not glad, we are not happy to meet people, we are not happy to talk with the people, we are not happy to share our feelings and emotions. It has been nice talking to you, we say, but all the while we have been bored. Why? Because we have lost interest in other person. We have lost interest to listen to the other person. That's why we feel bored. But from the external stance, we say it has been nice talking to you. But believe me, son, the poet says, he requests his son to believe him. I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. My dear son, I don't want to change myself. I want to be like you. I want to go back to my childhood. I want to laugh with my heart. I want to shake with my heart. The poet says, I want to unlearn all these muting things. The poet says, I don't want to practice all these modern practices. I want to unlearn. I want to shed. I want to peel all these modern behaviors, gestures. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh. For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. The poet says, I want to relearn the skill of laughing, the art of smiling, because all the while when I laugh, the mirror on the wall showing only my teeth to me, and those teeth are looking like the two-tongued snake and the venomous tongues of the snake. That's why I want to relearn, I want to unlearn, the poet says. Show me, son. The speaker asks his son for what? How to lop. He wants to go back to his childhood and to bring about the innocence of a child. And that's why he asks his son to teach him how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile. The speaker is reflecting himself in his son, and he wants his son to show how he used to laugh and smile once upon a time when the grown up man, when the speaker was like his son, when he was in childhood, he laughed with his heart and with his eyes, and that's what the speaker wants to learn. The poem is about the modern life of man. The poem talks about a distant past which seems as if it almost never happened. A father talks to his son of about the time when people were honest and loving towards one another. The speaker speaks regretfully about the present time, dwelling on the fact that people have changed too much. And the poem illustrates the changes the father has seen in himself throughout his life, which have been influenced by the way of society has changed. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel Basavaraj Bidgi.